time for another daily drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today is Carolina basketball, specifically rebounding. That has been a big topic of late. Hubert Davis has not made any bones about it. He hasn't minced words. He has not been pleased with the Tar Heels rebounding this season, and certainly not of late, and for just cause. But the numbers might not be as bad as we think they are, as it appears on the surface, as it appears when you watch the games. And we're going to dive into that a little bit today. Now, let me make clear, Carolina needs to be a better rebounding team. There's no doubt about it. But there's a couple of things in here when you really crunch the rebounding numbers, which should give Carolina fans a little bit of hope that not all is lost on the glass, and maybe this club can become a better rebounding team. If they do and everything else stays the same, that will add another layer to what this team can be. And I think right now they are legitimate ACC regular season championship contenders. Okay, let's get into the numbers real fast here. The Tar Heels are number 158 nationally in rebound margin at plus 2.5. That's terrible. That's awful. They don't want to be that. Typically, Carolina is at plus 8 or above. Bad Roy Williams rebounding teams were plus 8. This club is plus 2.5. A big reason it has dropped is the last 3 games, the Heels have been out rebounded by 27 combined. The double figures, I think it was 10 by UConn, 10 Kentucky, and then Oklahoma out rebounded them by 7. So minus 27 in the last 3 games against good teams. That should be the most concerning number here, because those are good teams. Those are high-level teams. Those are the kinds of teams the Heels are going to have to scale when they get into March and get into the NCAA tournament. If they're going to get to the second weekend, if they're going to even get to the third weekend, they're going to have to find a way to get past teams like that. They did it against Oklahoma because they forced a lot of turnovers. They got a lot of points off of turnovers, and they did a good job of limiting Oklahoma's second chance scoring. But they would have to do that every night to advance by the time they would get to the Sweet 16. So as you look ahead at getting the team prepared for the postseason, which is what this should be about right now, I don't think there's any doubt this is an NCAA tournament team, and they need to be massaged into becoming a unit that can handle a variety of situations come March, because that's what the NCAA tournament is. One game you get pulled into a certain kind of tempo. Another game you get a different kind of tempo. Games are called differently by different officials. There's all kinds. You have limited time to prepare for your second game each weekend. So one of the things that always helped Roy's teams advance was the fact that one constant was rebounding. No matter who they went up against, they were going to win the rebounding battle most of the time. Although the irony is that Gonzaga out-rebounded them in 2017 in the national title game, but the Tar Heels still found a way to win. So the minus 27 is certainly alarming and has to change. We'll learn nothing against Charleston Southern, but when they go to Pittsburgh, with the length that Pittsburgh has and the physicality Pitt plays with, I think we can learn something there. They go to Clemson, the Tigers with PJ Hall and Shefflin and those guys. They're a good rebounding team. And then NC State with Burns and the athletes that it has. Tar Heels just need to become a better rebounding team. Now, another thing that needs to improve is on the offensive glass. Carolina's grabbing just 33.2% of its own misses. That's not an acceptable number. That has to be higher. The team 2 years ago, Roy's last team, was at like 44.6%. Granted, they had 4 post players. Granted, they played 2 of them at the same time all the time. I get it. But 33.2% is not acceptable. This club needs to get that up at 38% or higher. You really want to be in the 40s, given North Carolina's history. But I think Hubert would take 38% right now, stick it in his back pocket, and sprint to the bank. Now, another area that needs to improve is that Carolina is scoring 0.96 points off of its offensive rebounds. So for every offensive rebound the Tar Heels get, they're not getting a full point, and you want to at least be at full point. They're almost there. They've been okay. I think they need to be a little bit more productive. Personally, I think 1.2, 1.3 points per offensive rebound is more an acceptable number, and it's more the norm in Carolina's history. Right now, they're a little bit below that. But where they're making up for it, and this is an area I think you guys that are Carolina fans should say, okay, it's not as dire as what AJ has said so far, as what Hubert says, and what our eyes have seen the last 3 games. Overall, Carolina opponents are rebounding 28.4% of their missed shots. I think that's an acceptable figure for the Tar Heels. Also, not a bad figure at all is they're only scoring 0.73 points off of each offensive rebound. That's a distinct difference from what Carolina's scoring, and Carolina's not even up to snuff. And in the last 3 games, this I think is a fantastic stat. And this speaks to something else about this club that it has that last year's club simply did not have. In the last 3 opponents, Connecticut, Kentucky, and Oklahoma, while they've grabbed 40 offensive rebounds, I think it was 40, 40 offensive rebounds, they've only scored 25 second chance points. That's 0.63 points for each offensive rebound. The Tar Heels are challenging the paint. They don't have great rim protectors. They're not rebounding real well on that end. They could be a little bit better, but they're challenging offensive rebounds that opponents grab. How many times can you recall last year teams would get an offensive rebound and they go right up and score? Now, the Heels are challenging them. UConn, when they were at full health, Kentucky at full health, and Oklahoma at full health, 25 second chance points on 40 offensive rebounds. To me, that is a fantastic stat. And that grit, that ruggedness, that mindset to challenge everything must stay. And if the Heels can increase their offensive rebounding, which would then increase their overall rebounding edge, then I think the fact that they may not ever reach the percentage of offensive rebounds grabbed that is desirable, but if they can increase it some, they might offset everything on the glass. I know it looks bad to the eye, and trust me, covering the last 3 games, it seemed like they got out rebounded by a lot more than just 27, but they didn't. And I think the positive here is this club is challenging stuff. So it's an area that must improve. It's been an area of focus, of emphasis, and they simply have to get better. There are only a few things that this team must get a lot better at. Rebounding is one of them. And if they could improve by 12%, 15% heading into the Pittsburgh game and be that team the rest of the way, I think these guys are your favorites to win the ACC regular season title. Very quickly, an Armando Bacot rebounding note, and he's part of this, obviously. He's the all-time leading rebounder in school history, but 5 of the last 9 games, he hasn't even grabbed double-figure rebounds. He needs to start grabbing more of these. The other night against Oklahoma, it looked like he just missed 6 or 7 of the rebounds, a few times against Kentucky as well. Armando needs to be Pac-Man in there. He needs to eat those pellets. And if he starts eating the pellets at a higher rate than he has, that's going to fix some of this rebounding stuff. So not a great picture on the glass, but not entirely bleak. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the Tar Heels rebounding. Do you believe they will increase their production by about 15%? And if so, how much of a difference do you think that makes for this team? I think it would have made a difference in a couple of games, perhaps. If they'd have been a little bit better against Kentucky, that was 18-6 on the offensive glass, 15-6 in second chance points. Kentucky still wasn't at a full point per offensive rebound, but Carolina allowed so many that game, it was costly. But really, that's the one game where offensive rebounding is absolutely beaten the Tar Heels. So I'm really interested in paying attention to see what happens here on the glass, especially opponents' offensive glass. And really, the Tar Heels need to get more themselves. But I've already said that a couple of times, and I'm going to emphasize it over and over and over because it is, as Roy Williams said, the most important stat, and it is something that is emphasized a ton in Chapel Hill right now. So we'll see what happens. If you like this video, go ahead and click like. If you're excited about the Tar Heels heading into the ACC play next week at Pittsburgh, and if you think they should be the favorite to win the regular season title and be the #1 seed up in DC in the ACC tournament, go ahead and click like on this video, subscribe, share with all your friends, hit the notification bell so you know when we upload a video, which happens frequently. I'm AJ, and I'll see you later.